Greetings and salutations. It is I,
Greetings
Big
and
Dan
motherfucking salutations.
Rodan, coming at you live from the 215, the comic book connoisseur, your sommelier of sci-fi and superheroes, here to welcome you to another episode of BNR, my barflies. How you doing?
Barflies. Doing good.
Barflies?
No sound? No
Uh,
sound effect this time?
oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, one more time. Last time, baby. Yeah. Uh, you know, you're here.
We here. We
I'm
here.
not by myself.
Not at all.
Uh, Otherwise, this would be a Twitch stream. So
Hey. Look
thank
out for
God for
it.
that. Yeah, maybe. um, Jayhawk, how we doing?
Doing good, because it's tis I, hailing from the land of Sake, Shinobi, and Samurai. The boy is Godzilla personified. Ain't no other name but this to go by. It's your boy, Jayhawk. And I am officially out of the land of Covidia, which is great. I,
Been
I
there twice. Would not recommend.
I suggest if you do go, pack your vaccine and your booster.
Yeah.
And even then, like I literally know when like the whole viral load hit to that certain point. Like that was a wild time waking up with a headache and the room spinning and everything.
Everything is just like opposite, going counterclockwise, but you're still going clockwise. Yeah, it is weird, man.
It was super discombobulating. But
It's very much like going through the multiverse.
yeah, what I could imagine. But the week is gone, so we're good. Scientifically, still can't be in the same room, obviously, but got
Yeah.
the official negativo. So, feeling great.
I'd say I miss you, but I've been talking to you all week. So
That's real.
this is the tragedy of being best friends. You're like, I don't really miss you because I talk to you on a regular basis.
He's here. He's here. Even
I
when
told
he's
you.
not
I think I texted you. I was like, no, I think Bull's fine.
here. That's exactly.
I should have
what
checked
you
in.
said.
Should I have checked in every day? Possibly. What good friend doesn't do that?
Right.
But I was like, nah, Bull good. You know,
If he wasn't fine, I know.
if he wasn't fine, I would know, right? The light above my bed would just keep blinking over and over again, and I'm like, he needs me. But, it didn't happen.
Oh goodness. Yeah, nah. Doing good. Speaking before we got on camera, we talked about quick
Right.
review. I have a quick review for one, Vampire in the Garden, which is a Netflix anime.
I've heard.
It's I hope
We didn't even get to the booze yet, but, you jumped B and
say that for
N.
news. All right.
You just went,
It's like I don't even know. I get one
Right.
week of COVID, and it's like, oh, just change up the rule.
get vaccinated, people, and get the booster. Otherwise, you might end up like Joshua Hawkins.
Just changing the rules.
There we go. All of them.
What are you drinking? In?
That too. I'm having a bit of Blanco Terramana,
All right.
small batch, because The Rock is black, right?
The Rock?
Is he? Maybe.
I think he's like adjacent.
I feel like we maybe.
Hey,
Okay.
color. If he wasn't The Rock, I could see him getting pulled over.
I could see that. Maybe. To make it more black, I bought some Tropicana fruit punch here, and made me a little drink. Yeah, called Rocky Sunset. That's what I'm gonna call it. Anyway, I'm pretty sure I'm gonna be sued. Anyway, I like Terramana. I think we've probably talked about that early on in
Is
the
that a
Blerd
tequila?
bar. It is a tequila.
I don't know if we've talked about it, but I recognize the bottle, so I'm pretty sure I've had it at least once or twice.
I thoroughly enjoy it and would definitely keep it stocked on a repeated basis in my refrigerator, bar cart, whatever you call it. it's it's just a really good tequila. So,
Cool.
if I had to rate it, Terramana by itself, that's a 4 for me.
Wow.
That's a quality tequila. We have yet to have Kevin Hart's yet, so
You know.
I'll just be like that.
I feel like there's like a meme. There should be we should put up the meme of what's his name? Bernie Sanders. It's like, I am once again asking you.
That seems like a very but we don't beg for money here, not yet. When the lights start to flicker, then that's
Right.
when you need to
It's only
help us.
after we try OnlyFans and that doesn't work, then it's like, all right, well,
Only after OnlyFans, yeah.
we've exhausted all options.
After that foot scene, that Jayhawk did, and it didn't work out.
It's like
just
moving on though. I'm drinking.
Yeah.
I'm drinking.
Oh, the lights are starting to blink.
Are they? That's
Yeah, there you go.
Oh, I see. Oh yeah. Well,
time to
once
time
again
for OnlyFans. Yeah. For $2 a day. You
I got a classic, an oldie but a goodie. I got some Tennessee Honey Jack Daniels.
Hey.
I also I won't bury the lead. But yes, I have this and I have some peach tea to swirl it around with, so that should be fun times all around. I mean, Jack Honey, like this goes back to like
That's definitely one of your staples.
yeah, it goes back to like college. I mean, it's just really fun. I'm not gonna say it's the highest brow of whiskey, but
it's your highbrow.
It's a good staple to have.
If you want to get on Jayhawk's good side, bottle of Jack Honey never hurt. Doesn't mean he'll like you, but you'll
be noted.
He might take the bottle. Yeah, he'll remember you because you brought him that bottle of Jack Honey.
Yeah, that was Damon. Damon brought me that. Yeah, I remember Damon.
Yeah, that's not my name, by the way.
But yeah, no, it's good. I don't know. Like, I would probably also give it like a 4 out of 5, just because of that might be like nostalgia talking, but like it's just a good solid. Like when I see it, I'm like, why not?
4 out of 5 is fine when it's preference, right?
That's the booze.
That's the booze part. Down to some news, because it is just you and I, and we could talk as friends, but we are currently hosting a show called BNR, so there is some news after the booze. Amber Heard / Johnny Depp trial, testimony by the industry consultant Catherine Arnold revealed some major plot points for possibly Aquaman 2 if they don't choose not to do reshoots. It's foolish, and I don't even know. I don't even know how to go about this. But
is it foolish to not do reshoots? Is that what you're saying?
It's foolish in the concept of Aquaman in general. I'm trying to be objective here and just give you the news. So, yes, the plot reveals that there's a sequence that pretty much explains that Amber Heard's role in the movie has been reduced significantly, regardless of the trial itself. That was the plan, I'm assuming, going into the second or the sequel. And that it has to do with a baby. Now, comic book nerds would know exactly what we're talking about here. Aqua Baby is a thing. Don't ask me why, but Aqua Baby is a thing. Not Aqua Lad. Aqua Baby. Because when you have to name things, proprietary things notwithstanding,
just make it
a regular baby underwater.
Who's the
Aqua Baby.
Yeah.
So yeah, a lot of fans believe that this is a reference to Aqua Baby, and that Amber Heard is pretty much reduced to the Act 1 of the film, with likely showing up in Act 3 because of the way the movies work. All will likely be well. If everything is not well, DC will have actually done something surprising and possibly good. Anyway, I have no input on the actual trial itself because that is not this podcast. So don't ask me.
Probably go check
my
out
next
Movio.
piece of news. Yeah, Movios will help you there. Or ask my wife. Don't ask my wife. Ask my wife, but don't ask my wife. By the time you've seen this BNR, you will also be well aware of the trailer for Thor 4, which reveals a few key things that we've been kind of waiting for. One, the casting of Russell Crowe as Zeus, which means that in the MCU, they also have the Pantheon, which is exciting to know. Naked Thor is also a thing. We can't go back. It happened. It's in the trailer. Now, will it be in the movie? Who's to say? There's a lot of misdirects that happen in the MCU. We did get to see a reveal of Gore, the God Butcher, which I think I was very excited. I was not expecting to see a lot of of Gore in the trailers, only because once you kind of see him, he's less threatening, at least in my opinion. But I'm very excited to see how this is all going to play out on July 8th, 2022. However, for me, it's going to be July 7th because I will be there Thursday night for my favorite superhero and also my birthday. Shameless plug. It happens. But I will be there to see my favorite superhero and possibly what could possibly be one of my favorite movies if they get this right.
Question.
Yes.
With the God Butcher, will this lean into the Marvel villain problem? Which, can we define what the Marvel villain problem is? Because I feel like it's just that
you want me to talk about the Marvel villain problem? Okay, let's do it. Well, one, let's first acknowledge that the MCU is a part of Disney, which is a part of Marvel Studios. Marvel. It's a part of the MCU is a part of Marvel Studios, which is a part of Disney.
There it is.
Thank you. Secondly, because of these facts, long story short, movies require actors. Actors require contracts. And most contracts don't go beyond one film unless you are the title character. So the villain problem notwithstanding, is because the world that they're trying to build in this MCU really is not sustainable without keeping villains alive or, ending the movie with them being put in prison. You can't really do that with such highfalutin characters such as Gore the God Butcher. What prison does he go to?
Right? Yeah.
Does he just get knocked into infinite space and then bump into an asteroid and then change trajectory to come back and be in another sequel? No. Doesn't work that way. So it is either jail for a very low level unimportant character or
you gotta kill him.
Annihilation. So I feel bad for any villain in Marvel because it's just like prepare to be wrecked by the third act.
So I figured it would be that, and then just when you put it that way, and I guess if people stop and think about the logistics of it, it's kind of hard to be like, in my mind, it's kind of hard to be like, Marvel's villain problem. It's like, no, that's just the medium that they're in. Like, they tell a good story. Right. It has to come to a close. Like, we're happy that we got, Thanos for I mean, three. He got two
I
main
would say
movies
Thanos, two main movies,
and like references
four, yeah, four references if not five.
for all together.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so
So
he was in at
I
least a
don't know.
few scenes.
Yeah. So I mean, yeah, that just is what it is, and I think they're for everything great that Marvel is doing. I think you said it actually a couple episodes ago, if not last episode, that Marvel is teaching people to be better fans and kind of like because of oh so many logistical things, you have to accept and maybe even recalibrate your expectations going
Mm-hmm.
in to a lot of these movies because a lot of these movies like we can only fully even begin to kind of appreciate them now because of technology and everything like that. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so, but there is still you still do want a good story, and like that's why like the whole finding that line of like knowing the character but accepting the character that they show you, like that's like the
Exactly.
hardest line, and that's personal for everybody. But like,
It's personal for everybody, and it at the end of the day, if they make too many references to actual source material,
mm,
you'll feel betrayed. Like you'll feel very betrayed, knowing that like they're referencing a very specific either event or comic book run, and then they just go the opposite direction with it. And you're like, it's a lot of that like not my president stuff or not my dot dot dot. Um, sorry, this got political. Um,
so do you think? And this, I mean, this might go into the news. I don't know if you have news as of this recording. Something's coming out this Friday,
mhm.
um, and I heard that it's 6 episodes, and I wonder if they should. I don't know, not pivot, but like put more time into the TV series and give us more well thought out, uh, more fleshed out, I should say, not well thought out, but more fleshed out pieces of media in the TV
Mhm.
space, and then like have your big coming together movies where you can make that we've already been through the stories and now we're
Right.
gonna watch.
So the dilemma is, and you and I both being me being a former actor and you still being an actor, uh, you know that the challenges of the medium are different for everybody. Like if you are a movie actor, you're only really going to try to pick up movie projects,
Mm-hmm.
unless that Broadway show is really going to pay off your like you know current debt. You know,
Mm-hmm.
you're really going to be out here fishing for the movie that you want. Um, and I think that's the challenge of doing series and limited series for the overarching universe that exists,
Okay.
because you not a TV star. That's not you. That's not your vibe. That's not how you work. That's not how you do your scheduling.
I see
So
that. My only counter to that is that streaming has become like
well, I understand. I'm saying that a lot of Hollywood actors have not shifted to that, which is why you can get a lot of like you have flexible actors that exist like that, like Pedro Pascal, who's done both TV work and movie work,
mhm.
and knows that like he's in love with his character enough to continue to return back to the Mandalorian. And then you have somebody that's like, you know, Denzel Washington. Denzel Washington not coming in to do the Equalizer series. You know,
But he does Broadway.
he does broad, but this is also Denzel Washington doing passion project stuff. He's lived long enough. He's done his career, and he's doing what he wants. TV is more of a demanding thing for less pay most times because the budget is either dedicated to the actual uh, finished product itself rather than the
Unless it
actors you're
hits.
getting in. Right. Robert Downey Jr. is never going to show up for a limited Marvel series unless the asking price is still like twice the size of the budget that they have for the series. So, I mean, like I think that's where the problem, herein lies that problem. So, you know, while you may be able to get like B and C list movie stars to come in and do these, you also may not be able to get them more than once. So I really don't know if we would see a second season of Moon Knight. Only because the way that production works alongside an actor's schedule is tricky.
I've said what I said about Moon Knight. I think it could have been more episodes. I think
I understand that, and I'm only using that as since it's a very recent thing that we've discussed.
Yeah.
I think Oscar Isaac loves playing that role, and I think he did phenomenal. I don't think I said this in the review for it, but I think he was the best casting for that character, or the best casting for an MCU character outside of Robert Downey Jr.
Really? Even Chris Hemsworth Thor? Even
it took me a while to get it. It took me a while to first of all, I don't think Chris Pratt is a different Star-Lord than the actual Star-Lord of the comic books for me.
You would know that. I would not know that.
People wouldn't know that. And anyway, that's a different topic for a different day.
What else news you got?
Right. We definitely went on a tangent. But no, Oscar Isaac is probably my second favorite casting of the MCU so far. Chris Evans would be my third, just because all you really need to play Captain America is muscles. And be mildly Republican. Second piece of news.
Hold on.
Yep,
last person. Tom Holland? Spider-Man?
Oh, I thoroughly enjoyed Tom Holland, but I was not excited for that casting the way I was for Robert Downey Jr. I thought that was the best thing that could have ever happened to the MCU. And then finding out Oscar Isaac was going to be Moon Knight was my second level of excitement.
Okay. Fair enough. What other news you got?
Yeah. We could talk about that on a different. Matter of fact, let's can that for season 5. We'll talk about casting and what I liked and didn't like. So stick around for season 5. If you still like us by then, we'll be here. Some video game news. Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, which I personally believe is the best Call of Duty that's ever existed, is getting a official launch for next gen and current gen consoles, I believe. October 28th. This is likely also going to bring with it a Warzone 2. And if you go to Activision and see their tweet, you will see the current art of Ghost on their page. And I mean, this is supposed to come out on, multi-platform to my knowledge. So that means PC, Xbox, and PlayStation. I doubt it's coming to Nintendo Switch because Nintendo Switch does not have that technology to handle an FPS as big as Call of Duty. But yeah, I did have one more piece of news, I believe, and we went on such a deep tangent of MCU.
The economics of the MCU.
Yeah.
And how it affects casting, a dissertation.
Yeah. And we'll discuss that spinoff in a season 5 thing. Production for Ironheart, the Disney Plus series, is actually starting sooner than expected. Filming actually started this past weekend in Chicago, and currently has either acquired already test shots and B-roll and plate shots. the idea is to likely see this being released within the next year. It does not have a release date, and I think, like with anything with the MCU, the timing may sometimes be related to the larger movies surrounding it. Not always, and more recently, not at all. But Ironheart being, kind of like an adjacent Iron Man series, I feel like there's some level of importance connected to it. We might even see a Civil War 2 movie, and I don't let's not talk about it. So that was my pieces of news, and yeah.
Cool.
That was such a long I want to address it. That was a very long tangent that we went on. But there's just two of us.
But I think that's an interesting conversation, and anywho, I thought it was interesting, and
we'll get back to it.
Yeah. First off, Hunter x Hunter creator, he joins Twitter and reveals that the manga, whatever, the hiatus is ending, and that's really cool.
We back, baby. We back.
Hopefully this means that the anime will continue. Those who don't know, the anime actually stops even before this news. The manga kept going, but the anime stopped right before, I think it's called the Dark Continent arc.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully we can get into that. That's like, at first, for a while, I didn't get what the excitement was about Hunter x Hunter, and then I watched it and I was like, okay, no, this was actually really cool.
Yeah, it's not top shelf anime, but it's very cool.
I don't know if I disagree or agree with you that it's not top shelf anime.
If we would say the pantheon,
because it's classic as hell.
Anime, it's very classic, right? But think of how long it took just to get up to the arc that we're at now. But so I would say, because of the wait times on it, it don't age the same way. It's like if somebody says to me they enjoy blue cheese, I don't hate on you. I just also acknowledge that the cheese has been sitting longer than you initially anticipated.
I don't know. That's all. For classic anime, I feel like it's one of the better ones.
It's definitely one. I didn't say it's low shelf. I said it's just not top shelf. Right. You're not spending $3,000 on a bottle for it. That's what I'm saying. Would you possibly spend $60 on a shot? I'm not saying that. I'm saying you come in, you sip your drink, and you say, this is an okay drink, and I thoroughly enjoyed this drink.
This reminds me of the episode, I think it's actually BNR1. No, it's not. But when the one we're talking about bacon, and it's like, but you're not calling it, you're saying that turkey bacon isn't bacon. And it's like, well, no.
Right. That's not where I'm coming. That's what I'm trying to, I'm not saying that it's bad. I'm just saying it ain't top shut. Right. I'm saying I'm not saying what it is. I'm saying what it isn't. Okay.
Right. So that's
Can we move on? Let's keep moving on. We dragging our feet here. We still actually have a review to do.
That's cool. Other news. Wit Studio celebrates 10 years after a massively successful decade of production anime. The anime studio is opening up its production material for an exhibition starting in Tokyo later this week. The studio is behind works such as Spy X Family, very good. Ranking of Kings. I haven't seen it, but I've heard good things about it.
Ranking of Kings is also good.
Okay, I will get into it. The first 3 seasons of Attack on Titan. The movie Bubble, which was it was okay.
Didn't watch it.
It wasn't horrible. If you have absolutely nothing else to do and you just want to see something, sure, why not? Seraph of the End, which is really good, but it ends off. I don't know if they're gonna ever make a third season of it, but it's really good, and I'm really upset of the cliffhanger that they leave us on. Vinland Saga. If you haven't watched it yet, Amazon Prime, it's a fun time. It's a fun
Yeah.
time. Season 2 is coming out later this year. Um, I did hear that season 1 is more shonen and a little bit of seinen, so it's like more kiddie and then a bit more adult. And then the second season is going to be very much more mature, very much more seinen or seinen, whatever you want to call it.
See, this is stuff that you're supposed to be telling me off camera, so that way I can have it to watch and then be able to agree with you.
It's fine
while you do these. But go ahead.
And Great Pretender, actually, to name a few, which Great Pretender was cool.
Yep, that's all I can say about it. It was a cool idea.
It was cool. So that's that. That's Wit Studio, who is actually, I think, a subsidiary of. They're under production IG, I think. So they're in good company. Next news: the final batch of Shaman King reboot episodes, hit Netflix on May 26th. I could be totally wrong about this, but I haven't seen any real promo for the series, which I think is just something that, like, I guess if you are like us who are Blerds and like Shaman King was like your thing back in the day, like you knew about it. But I bring that up because I find it interesting that they don't really promote these classics, but then they promote Vampire in the Garden, which came out actually earlier this month. And for what it's worth, Vampire in the Garden is like 5 episodes. They have, I think, a really cool sandbox to play in, but for whatever reason, those 5 episodes are like, these are the plot points that like, once again, I feel like a series of, or a season with an episode list of 12, you can really flesh out the story more. Maybe it's an economics thing. Maybe it's like, if you like it, you'll get a season 2. For Vampire in the Garden, I would say do not watch unless it gets a season 2. Unless you got, what's 5 times 30? Is that 2.5 hours? Unless you got 2.5 hours.
But some people have that.
Some people have it. I just don't think it. I think it could have been a more compelling story. Anywho, next bit of news.
Real quick, sorry, before you jump in, I want to make sure I get this out. Rumor has it, and this is a really strong rumor because people do things on the internet, but June 22nd is supposed to be supposedly the release date for Doctor Strange 2 on Disney Plus. That was the other piece of news I was trying to remember. So June 22nd, you can watch the very mid Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness
Angry
in
Mom.
your home. Angry Moms. Small caveat. Someone said that imagine you being mad that you created a family on Sims and then you killed them all. This is Wanda. Not a spoiler. Just I feel like that's the case.
I saw a meme that was funny that it's two wizard dads try to keep a little girl safe from an angry soccer mom. If I find it, I'll post it wherever it is. And I was just like, that's hilarious because
2 snaps on that. That's how that works.
I was like, that sums it up.
I'm not saying Wanda was a Karen. I'm just saying if there was a word for her.
Next bit of news.
Yep.
Final bit of news. Adult Swim has commissioned a new anime series from Jujutsu Kaisen Zero director Sung-Hoo Park, which will feature character designs by Takeshi Okazaki of Afro Samurai fame and will be produced by E&H Production and Sola Entertainment. The series is called Ninja Kamui. Adult Swim describes the series as follows. Ninja Kamui follows Joy Higan, who is a new Kennen. New Kennen, yeah. A former ninja who escaped his clan and is hiding from his violent past in rural America with his family. One night, he is ambushed by a team of assassins from his former organization who exact a bloody retribution on Joe and his family for betraying their ancient code. Rising from his seeming death, Joe will reemerge as his former self, Ninja Kamui, to avenge his family and friends. Kamui is a 21st century ninja, a shadowy anachronism who pits his ancient skills against high-tech weaponry with brutal finesse. He must face off against trained assassins, combat cyborgs, and rival ninjas to bring down the very clan that made him. I found out that there is a 1969 anime called Ninpu Kamui Gaiden, which is based on a manga by Sanpei Shirato. It tells the story of Kamui, a young ninja in the Edo period who leaves his clan and is pursued relentlessly by ninjas sent to kill him.
Got it.
So there is nothing new under the sun. Reading it, I heard John Wick, right? Then come to find out there's this like 1969 anime based off of an even older manga. So it and I don't say that to belittle what they're doing. I like reading that. It sounds like this could hit. Like it sounds like this could be like really dope. My only hesitation with it is that it is on Adult Swim, or Adult Swim has commissioned it. So
it's going to be an all-out gore fest with little to no reconciliation on a revenge story.
You think so? You think
Unless,
all-out gore fest?
Here's what I'm thinking. And, you know, because we still have to actually get into the review of our episode. But... or we can keep doing these ramblings forever. But I think what's going to likely happen is they'll try to give you a character that you can connect to. However, they are going to be so OP that the story only allows for them to really show good action sequences and not for you to ever really get a resolve on the revenge that they... likely achieve or don't achieve if they're trying to fish for a second season.
I see that.
It's Adult Swim.
This is where I would counter and be like, depends on the episode count. 12 to 24, you can get some good story in. I do think he's only going to be like, they're going to use episodes 1, maybe 1 and 2 to be like, show that he like, is a good character or a good guy now reformed, and then like the blood ensues, right? So I see where you're coming from.
It's Adult Swim.
Yeah,
if Adult Swim is commissioning it, they normally don't give you much outside of a shonen series,
sure,
or shonen adjacent. So,
sure.
I mean, I've watched a lot of anime on Adult Swim, but.
Yeah, but never like an anime that they made, like that they were like, do this.
And it's going to be something that someone stays up late at night to make sure that they can get the TVMA for, and then it'll be blood everywhere.
So, fingers crossed, but we'll see what happens. Also, side note, Rick and Morty are getting a spin-off anime.
Rick and Morty.
Also in Adult Swim, it's gonna be like I think the creator said it's like legit like a spinoff. Like it's not tied in with the.
Is it the Crow's story?
I don't know. I have no idea.
If it's a Crow's story, I might watch. But
I think it's a bunch of multiple stories.
It's Rick and Morty at the same time. It doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
Nothing that they do matters.
So that's my news.
That's your news. Let's jump into this review because we didn't bury the lead, but we kind of did. Because what would we have to review that you guys would be excited for? Doesn't matter. We're excited for it. We watched it, and the season's over. Atlanta, season 3. So first, like we always like to do here, so that there's no spoilers, we're going to go ahead and rate it based on the overall season, not episode by episode, but by the overall season. I'm sorry. I said 3 out of 5, but that's not true. Out of 5, I've been sipping tequila. Uh, out of 5, Jayhawk, how do you feel about the season 3 of Atlanta on FX?
I gave it a 4 out of 5.
Okay, you read my mind because while I said 3 out of 5, I didn't mean that. I meant 4. Yeah, and we'll talk about why very shortly. But just so you know, spoilers ahead. If you don't like that, you can leave and then come back after you've watched it. If you're not going to watch it and you would like to stay to continue to see what we have to talk about, feel free to do so. It's your internet, your YouTube, your Facebook. Anyway,
Do it.
do it, right? What button is that? Nope, not that.
Do it.
There we go. Found it. Shout out to Sterling. It happens.
I have some favorite episodes.
Go ahead. I'm gonna let you go first.
So, favorite episodes. This is in no particular order. We got Cancer Attack, New Jazz, Rich Wigga Poor Wigga, and Terrare. The big payback was thought provoking, but I don't know if I would personally call it like one of my favorites, but it was like, this is interesting. And I know Dan has like some questions or whatever he wants to speak on about that. Could the anthology episodes be what's happening in America? So it's not like an alternate reality. It's not like just random one-off episodes, but instead it's giving us context of what's happening in America for when the gang comes back from Europe, because season 4 has already been like, I think they're already filming, like we're supposed to be getting it like later on this year. So I would imagine that they're coming back from Europe. So it would be interesting if those little one-off episodes that we saw are actually just giving us context for like what's going on in America at the moment. Not for nothing, this whole season seemed to be social commentary. Like, yes, we were following the group and seeing Alfred grow the brand that is Paperboy. But I feel like this spoke to things a lot less subliminally than previous seasons. But granted, it's been years since I watched the last season, or the first two, I should say, first two seasons. So I leave space to be like totally wrong in that sentiment. And regardless, I am still intrigued and excited to see what happens in season 4. But I definitely felt like this is America, but like a TV show. Or like, not This Is America, but like this is like life and like a TV show. So
okay, yeah. I guess just to follow up with that statement overall, Atlanta has always been a show that dealt with blurring the lines between realism and surrealism.
Hashtag
even
Teddy Perkins.
The Teddy Perkins thing, just that might still be the best episode even after watching this season. However, you remember, what is it, the second episode of season 1 where they talk about the invisible car, or is that the first episode? That's the first episode of the first season.
I don't remember that.
He says he bought like an invisible car. Like whoever there's some like off-camera character that they talk about referencing a invisible car. He runs over a bunch of people at the end of the episode. No, you don't remember it? Fine. The show has always dealt with that, like blurring that line of like what's real and surreal. This season is no different. However, and this is a weird, we're taking a side street to get to where I have my point.
Sure.
I would make the same argument for the Kendrick album. The latest Kendrick album. And why am I drawing a blank on the name? But
Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers.
Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers. When you continue to grow in a way that social commentary is no longer direct, but more subtle. The art of that commentary becomes more abstract. And I'll say that again. When you create
Deacon Dan.
no. I'll say that again just so that way it's not being like what I'm trying to say.
Let me say that again, because y'all didn't catch me. Y'all didn't hear it. Let me say it again.
I don't have enough people understanding me now.
I wish I had some help in here.
When the commentary that you're trying to convey is becoming more and more subtle, the art itself becomes more and more abstract. And so I think what might be considered a negative to many viewers of Atlanta is that they weren't getting a story each episode, like a continuous plot that went from episode 1 to episode 10. Mm-hmm. But we're rather getting more of like if Twilight Zone was Atlanta, that's essentially what was happening with the anthology episodes. And I think because of the way that the delivery was so abstract and so thought-provoking, but at the same time very like, there's no other word than weird, I guess. Right? Like there's certain episodes where you're just like weird.
It's like we here now.
But at the same time, not weird in the sense that like you didn't know what was going on. Like it was very on the nose. They were referencing things straight out of newspapers and straight out of headlines.
Or just like I think of even the first episode with like the two.
What was that? The slap?
The 3 slaps, yeah.
The 3 slaps.
But like the fact that he like got sent to like two like white ladies who like didn't like grow their own stuff or actually ended up being like just criminals on like the.
Well, that's a true story. I mean, it's part of a true story. Yeah. So, and I don't know how connected to the news you are, but there was this very like viral picture where there was a black kid hugging the cop, right?
Okay.
That was a viral picture that like spread all over the U.S.
I feel like I've seen that like, multiple times where it's either like he
was in the hat and he was, all these things happened. Only to find out that the mothers he had were 2 white ladies who then ended up killing him and all of his foster family. It was a crazy headline story. I don't know how you missed it, but life was happening. So I guess a lot of other crazy headlines were also happening. But like, because I feel like if we talk about each individual episode, we'll be here all day. But that one specifically, to me, resonated in a very specific way when you think about parents and the way they navigate our blackness, and like, you can't act like everybody else out here. Very specific, and it was very much on the nose.
Yo, she was telling him, like, she was giving it to him. I was like, it was so good because it was like, I feel like everybody has seen or heard that conversation.
Right.
Every black kid, I'm sorry.
Every black kid should have heard that conversation at some point.
I feel like it was just like, yeah, no, that checks out. I was still very surprised, like, when the lady was like, I'm gonna get you out of this, and like brought him over, I was like, all right, so maybe she'll like, I don't know, take him to like a after school program or whatever.
Right.
When DHS showed up, I was like, word.
And you know what? Like, in that episode, right? Because if we're just talking about that one, when DHS showed up, I was like, she responded like every black mother would. Go ahead, take him. You called him? Go ahead. Bye.
And it was so wild.
I've been waiting for this day my whole life. Like,
It was so wild and unfortunate because knowing that he really was like lost in the sauce about it, I was like, damn. And it was
this was a whole sympathetic story, and I just what took me out of it for a second was the grandfather.
Sure.
When the grandfather walked up and went, just
The slaps are very like.
part of me was like, I've lived that. And not in a way that I'm saying this to anybody to be like, he's been abused in his life. No, not the same. These are there's not abuse to me. At the same time, I think about it and I'm just like, there's hundreds, if not millions of people who have had them 3 slaps slide, just moonwalk across their face, and they got their act right.
I think the more interesting thing was that Granddad. I was probably expecting Granddad to be more sympathetic, but
if it's Granddad, right, and that's his daughter, I understand. Like I said, if we took each episode, we could be here for a minute. But
yeah. Go ahead. What's your next?
We were talking about the big payback.
Would you collect?
I don't know. It depends on the circumstances. Honestly, I'm being dead honest. Would I go and collect?
What circumstances lead you to not collect?
Their family circumstances. Because first of all, I've learned very quickly that there are a lot of Wahite people, Wahite people who have, who aren't doing as great as me. Like, I'm not doing great, but I ain't hurting. You know what I'm saying? Like, they might bleed me dry every once a week, but I ain't like struggling. But if that family was out here on like governmental assistance, I'd be like, nah, go ahead. Yeah.
I see that, but then I guess the question is like, oh no, because they got paid out of their check. It was like child support, honestly. I guess.
It depends on the circumstance.
I see that,
but I feel like if there's one of you, then there should be more of you, right? Like, I'm pretty sure your mom and dad didn't have just one of y'all, so I'm gonna come see somebody else in your family. Somebody else made it. You got a cousin.
What?
Why I gotta find the broke one, right? I can go elsewhere.
So you would search.
I'd do the whole ancestry. Somebody alive.
So, and I think that's the thing. Not to say that this is like a slight to the episode, but figuring out who to go to and who to go for, who to go after. They didn't really like delve into that. Like,
but I think that was intentional. That's and that was kind of the notes that I had about the show or that episode was just like, I felt uncomfortable with the delivery of it all, because how do you know you go directly to this person, this one specific person, ruin their one specific life when you know that like their great grandfather didn't just have one kid who had one kid who had one kid who had one kid. Like, nah, somebody out here.
Somebody else is out here,
and
he probably also didn't.
Right.
I was gonna say the slave owner, like, I mean,
do you collect reparations from the light skinned John down the street who
Well, no, I'm saying,
but that was a question I had.
You could only hope that your great grandma was the only that he was like.
But even then, right? Like, who's to say you aren't related? I mean, if we talking about slavery, I mean, we might actually be cousins. So I think the episode really doesn't dive deep into that, rather than it does a deconstructing of whiteness. And I think they could have done that in a different approach rather than the discussion of reparations, because that concept is very messy in and of itself. Have actual family who live or lived on bought the plantation that they at once were former slaves on, and then lived on for quite some time. Reparations to my family may or may not have been served to one side of it. I don't know. But like they lived on the plantation that they actually worked on. And I have visited said plantation, and it
is it nice?
No. They bought the land. I mean I ain't going. I'm telling you, based on my mind, I was 7 or 8 when I've visited. You know what I mean? It's just.
Oh, you haven't been back since.
Haven't had to go back. So,
that's
but
true.
My uncle went and like bought the land after he made it big. So, reparations or not, I don't know how I feel.
I guess reparations would be him getting that for free.
Should have been, right? Or at least on the cheap.
Or at least
on the cheap.
Right?
You know what I'm saying? Like, use land.
Pennies on the dollar.
He went to GameStop. They was like, I can only give you this for 5 cents. And he was like, say less. Anyway, not to trivialize slavery. We're gonna move on from that.
What did you think about Rich Wigga, Poor Wigga?
I think, and that's probably going to be the most talked about episode from this season, given the life of Kevin Samuels being as controversial and as cut short as it was. If I knew that he was trying to break into acting and, had blown up in a way that caught Donald Glover's eye, and they was like, let's get him on here. Because I believe the first person they were trying to find to do that role was, who was it? But he wasn't available. It wasn't Kevin Samuels. It was somebody else. I think it was another comedian that they were trying to go after for this.
Because it was funny. I saw him, and I was like, I know him from somewhere. Where do I know him from? And I'm not going to say who I thought it was at first, because that would actually be hilarious. But I was like, oh, it's not him. But finding out that it was Kevin Samuels, I was like, interesting.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting that I don't know if this is direct comparison, apples to apples, but in the same way that people are like, at the very least, it's an interesting choice for Kendrick Lamar to have Kodak Black on his album.
Yeah.
It was an interesting choice for Donald Glover to have Kevin Samuels show up. In my mind, I have not heard anything. I've never heard anything great about Kevin Samuels.
The initial person they were going after to cast for this was Steve Harvey, and that fell through.
That would have been perfect.
I don't know if Kevin Samuels' appearance hurt this as much as people think.
No.
I think if anything, it
definitely
might have blew it up a little bit more. Just because he was already in the media and in the news.
It didn't hurt, but it didn't push it forward. And I think if he would have somebody like Steve Harvey on there, it wouldn't even be, there would be no side conversation going on.
However, I think the episode itself did itself a disservice by being black and white. I believe it was filmed all black and white, right?
Yeah.
And I think
really
only because I think of the movie that we talked about off camera. What was that? That also Passing, which was also black and white.
Oh,
it was very like.
Have you watched it?
Yeah.
Oh, you did? I didn't watch it.
So I think it was very nuanced, but at the same time, there was just parts of that episode that bothered me, and I guess it bothered me because of the way that it would bother most Blerds and most articulate black folks who, whether it be code switching, whether it be visibly passing, whether it be like the blackness report card, black card, like all of those things. I came into the spot like, I don't like this. You don't have to pick on me. Why are you doing this? However,
wait,
I know I would have passed.
Are you? Oh, okay. I was like, are you saying you're mad because you wouldn't get? I would have passed,
and I would have got the scholarship because my whole life has been me trying to be a chameleon. Take it how you like it. It is what it is.
Not gonna lie, it'd be questionable. It'd be razor thin for me. There'd be like one or two. I'd have like if there's a 3-strike rule. That third striker, it'd be like, ooh, it's iffy. But he can dance, though. Like,
my favorite part, though, was when George Wallace goes off on him. And he's just like, he not black. You're not black. And I was just like, fair enough. I'm going to go ahead and take my leave here.
I thought the wildest part was when Kevin was like, I knew a guy like you. Clarence Thomas. I was like,
but...
Word. the shots we take.
But that was the entire show, right? Like if we talk about the anthology series, like I said, we could be here all day. But I think the overall arching show was very specific in talking about blackness in a way that doesn't get talked about frequently. Like blackness in Europe. Blackness in Europe is not. You're not experiencing racism the same way. You may take it in the same way, but it's not being delivered the same way. Sinterklaas, I'm very familiar with the tradition, and I knew at the moment I saw the title of the episode, I was like, nope, I know what this is. This is blackface.
Mr. Pete.
It's Mr. Pete. I think,
which is not his name. I forget his Swelter Pete or something like that.
Black Pete is also another one of his names.
Oh yeah, his act like translated. It's actually Black Pete. But
I think, and this is more the peek behind the curtain. I think they also faced very, very specific challenges with COVID and filming, and so we got a lot of. Anthology episodes. Anthology episodes because they could not do a full like overarching story through, Europe because all that got shut down.
I don't know.
That's what I was my understanding of it.
Donald Glover is such a interesting soul.
He is.
That
shout out to King Blerd.
I think that this could be all very, very intentional, and that's why I think it'll be very interesting to see what season 4.
To my understanding, I believe season 4 is supposed to be the final season. If they based on an interview, I believe he said he would not dare go past season 5, but season 4 is likely the last season. I think
fair. I think that's good to know.
I think for the show being what it is, that's fine because while you're making entertainment, you're also, like I said, I think he's tiptoeing the line of just very subjective art. And that audience after a while either dwindles to a very specific few who think they got it, and then another specific few who don't get it but keep trying to watch it to get it.
And they're probably just here. I think there's a good portion of people who are here for like the story of Paperboy and just wanting to.
And I don't think they're going to get that. I don't think they get that.
Well,
that resolution.
What is an ending? If you want to get real thespian.
I don't think they get the resolution of that. That's my theory. Is that I don't think they get a resolution of that.
I think it's like a good anime where it's like as long as it ends, I don't know. It's hard to describe, but they're like Samurai Champloo had a good
Mm-hmm.
ending where it's just like this is where it should end. This is like this is this makes sense. I don't need any
Mm-hmm.
more. That kind of thing, and I'm happy that you're not forcing any more upon me. And I
I think
think
that
Donald Glover is smart enough to know
I
when that
think
is.
that should be true of all shows, and I think when you
Should be.
know it, like when it's a good time to stop, right? Like I support that. I feel like I would always support that when the creators of a show just like, we should stop here. So,
Yeah.
um, overall though, I say for anyone, I think first of all, anything Donald Glover does, I've been on board, and I've been on board because I see a lot of myself in the way he views the world. Just because when you lived very sheltered, and there's a lot that you were told that you couldn't do, and then like the world just like meets you on your window, like your windshield, and you're just kind of like, oh, okay, well, here's how I perceive it. Um, I think that's where I'm at, and uh, I will say the finale, insane. Um, yes,
Oh, all right.
Tarare. Um, in the sense that like once again it does it it puts the lens on white people in a way that makes me feel like I believe this happens. um
That is so unfortunate, but so true. Where it's like, yeah, there's some upper
yeah,
echelon one
they
percent
just be like
crazy
they just go to
party
dinner.
where you got
Yeah,
fried fingers, and it's just like, yeah.
so like the tradition of eating under a napkin, right, is a very French thing, and often has
hmm
been like hiding when you eat under the napkin, it's to hide your shame from God type thing. And she
hmm
tried to be like, well, it's not shame. And I'm like, no, it's shame because y'all eating hands. I also thought like having Alex Skarsgård be a wild version of himself was a very smart idea. Obviously a flex by Donald Glover just to be like, hey, we got Alex Skarsgård to be, him times 10. Um, but Zazie Bates is just like
Zazie?
Zazie.
Zazie?
Zazie? Zazie.
What is Zazie?
It's been a
Mm.
long day. Zazie is a phenomenal actress in the way that, like,
Really is.
I don't know. I was jealous of just being able.
It's amazing that she doesn't get more work, honestly.
Yeah,
Or not amazing. I would say criminal.
it's definitely
Um,
criminal, but I feel like the concern would then be her being typecasted because she has range.
and
She has
how?
range in a way that I feel would be so limited anywhere else outside of this show.
Sure, but so like, but I mean that in like, we've seen her as
Which I
Domino.
need to see her
We've seen
again.
her. Sure, we've seen her as Van.
Right.
With Atlanta. Um, I'm sure. I'm sure she has other stuff, but she's one of those people where it's like, oh, she's in this. Oh, this is like I have more comfort with giving this show
Right.
my time. Like,
I feel safe here.
um,
Um,
yeah.
Also, like her
Nah,
delivery of like the
she's good.
French in this was just like she was in the heart of they fall. We not forgetting that
Harder they fall. That's what it
she
was.
was in
Yeah.
Joker. Like she been
Which
working.
honestly, the harder they fall, for all intents and purposes, in the grand scheme of things, I still enjoyed the show and her performance. Her character in The Harder They Fall might have been the weakest character,
She
not
did not
performance.
do. what I expected her to do. But
her performance was still
mhm.
great, but the character itself was like,
She's also been in
but
Invincible.
like,
Like she works. She's also going to be in the Bullet
yeah,
Train this year. Like no,
Bullet Train.
we'll talk
We'll
about it.
talk about it.
But I think
But yeah, no, Terraria was great. I loved the baguette scene
yo,
because it's like it makes sense now. Where it's like, oh, this
and
is
you know what's
why.
funny? I liked how, and this is very from an artistic standpoint, but like how they kept drawing your attention back to it. Like even after you were aware of it, and you're like, she's still walking around with this baguette. But then they would do a line.
I kind
They
of
would
like
do
it.
the line of saying why she's still walking around with this baguette, and you're like, you know what? I also agree with that statement. Why is she walking around with this baguette?
But I don't get it. I kind
And
of
then
like
her
it.
monologue about it, and like leave it out for 4 weeks. I was like, oh no.
That I thoroughly enjoyed that episode. It also gave so much context, which is crazy. In one episode, you give you tell her
Whole story
story
for the whole
of
season.
like what happened, where she
Mm-hmm.
is, why she feels this way. Like it was like, oh snap,
Yeah, I mean, it
okay,
shows
like
that episode
going through it.
starts like it touched on like mental health and like wellness and you
Mhm.
know the unspoken things about parenting. Because like I went from like
Yeah,
laughing the entire episode to them being like, "Oh, come on, Van, you ain't gotta do it like that." And and I think what happens is when you become a parent, like there's this weird, like undiscussed thing about you being more sensitive or like hypersensitive to other parents. And I was like, she's not even real. She a fictional character. And I was like, but she a parent though, so I relate. And you know, but I think that it was just I don't know. The whole season to me felt like when you see a painting, right? And the obvious stuff is there on the painting, and the brush strokes, getting tongue tied. The brush strokes seem intentional, and the image that you see before you is very much what it's supposed to be. And then you look at it longer, and then you see something else that only a few select people are maybe seeing the same thing that you are. And then you look a little bit longer, and then like that select amount of people reduces and reduces and reduces until you see something that only you can identify with. I think when you get to that point of creating that level of art, then maybe it is time to just kind of hit the road and walk off into the sunset because you've done your job. And it's not,
I would agree
and
with
it's
that.
not that, pack it up because no one else gets it, but more so pack it up because you've done what you came to do.
Yeah,
Because like every time Lakeith Stanfield's Darius character came on screen, I was like, I understand. And I did. And, it's only because of certain experiences I've had in my life that I understand. But then there was times when I was also like, I don't get this. The weird time loop thing about the drugs was like,
oh, New
in New
Jazz.
Jazz.
That was I thought that was so crazy because of how it ended and understanding like now like oh snap we're coming back full circle. Oh,
But
this like
here's the thing. I've watched too many things, right? That immediately I was like, that's one of them.
Tenet.
Immediately, like the first time I saw it, I was like, that's one of them. And I was like, because they were, he's talking about the drug, and he's like what it does, and that this is some intensity type stuff, and I was like, that's bull. Well, I don't know what bull, but that's bull in the corner. And then Liam Neeson just acknowledging
That was wild. People talk about Kevin Samuels being in there. Can we talk about Liam Neeson being in it and what
That
he
was
talked
like
about?
meta, double down, meta, apology, meta, double down. And I was like,
apology, but not apology? Like, I don't know.
right.
Like, what?
Because he was kind of like, no, I still don't like y'all. And I was like, say less. Say less.
I was like, what? No, that was wild. And the fact that he was in like the cancel club, like
we might.
That's why it was like one of my favorites. I was like, yo, this is
when
some interesting
when
stuff.
Time starts to allow, I think we honestly need to start doing like right after a show airs, going live. just being like and just like expressing, unpacking the emotions, because I feel like I watched most of this obviously within the past like week and a half, and I was like, oh, there's so much that I did not talk to people about here, and also couldn't talk to people about because they hadn't watched it yet. So, like I said, I think this is a good place to stop. But Barflies, if you've watched Atlanta and you want to talk about it at any given point in time, we are available through all of our social medias.
I didn't talk about Cancer Attack yet.
Do you want to talk about it, or?
I just really enjoyed the song.
That was a good. It was a good song.
I like looked it up. I thought he was like an artist. He's not. He's an actor. So okay. We close out, please.
Yeah, I just want to know why he threw away the phone. Right? We didn't even talk about why he threw away the phone. But I was like, when white people want to ride the train, like they want to be in the same car as you, they will make sure you're blinded to all the other weird, shady stuff they do just so they can continue to ride. And I was like, we're not going to address this? We're just going to end the episode like this?
Well, we can't, because he did that very much like nobody knows. And the way that it's playing out, I don't think anybody's ever going to find out.
This is not a generalization, but white people will ride the coattails until it damages. Now, you know what? I was about to make a statement, and I'm not going to follow through. We have reached the end of this episode.
Fireflies. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe on all platforms that you follow us at. Please share with all your friends. We hope this has been enjoyable for you, as it has been for us. If you would like to talk about it more, we obviously have time.
We in the comments, baby.
Yeah. So, as we always like to say, or Jen like to say,
that's right. Y'all have a blessed night. Peace.